Welcome to my studio. I have a project I want to accomplish today, and I have a lot of stuff I need to put away from yesterday's teaching. I'm putting up my nativities, and I have a cow who lost an ear a few years, or a horn a few years ago. And so the project that I am going to do today is to try to replace that horn. I'm going to be doing it with strong cast. I will have to let it dry for a while. I will put it under some heat. I will paint it black like the other horn. This has a kind of a slight gloss, but not a heavy gloss. So I'll probably mix a little bit of medium gloss with some medium matte to get an altered edge on that. Anyway, that's the process I'm going to be tackling in my studio. Strong cast is a plaster of Paris that is super strong. It has fibers, various fibers in it that cause it to set up a little quicker and a little more durable than just normal plaster of Paris. It is especially good for very thin imprints and also for making small repairs. But in the bag of strong cast, I keep a plastic spoon, because a lot of times what I'm doing takes just the smallest amount of strong cast. I'm going to put it into this little portion cup here. I'm going to put an approximately equal amount of water in there. This is not rocket science, but you can tell when it's right because it will be, that was a little too much water. But I'm going to put a little more strong cast in there. Once I get it made up, it should be kind of puddingy consistency. And I'm going to be wasting some. I usually make it up really close. I should have just put a few drops in there of the water. There we go. All right, now that is just a place somewhere between pudding and peanut butter. And you can see it's pretty soft, but it will set up for about 5 to 10 minutes. But by the time I get it set, it will be about right. Okay, I'm going to get a little stick here, a little corn dog stick, and I am going to shape this little horn right there. And put just a tiny bit of water on this composite material. This is not clay. This is a composite. It's okay, I'm going to put that back in there. Get this kind of wet again with my little bit of water. And yeah, and shape that horn a little bit. And I'm going to put that right on there, like so. And you can see I've got it on there. I'm going to tool it just a little bit with this stick. Wash the strong cast from pulling it out of there off just a little bit. It's a little bit fatter than the other side. So I'm going to shape it just slightly between my fingers and this stick. We're going to bend that a little bit so that it looks a little more like the horn that we're working with. Yeah. Now we're going to need to let this sit for a good 20 or 30 minutes, and then we'll come back and apply a little bit of heat. It's still a little bit on the soft side, and I need to yeah. I'm liking the way that looks. I'll bring this forward and let you see it a little closer on. Yeah, I like that. It's not 100% perfect, but it will look much better than him not having the other horn. It's beginning to get rigid now, so I need to leave it and let it just harden up there. If it pops off in the drying, and sometimes that'll happen with something like this, really depends on the material, but this composite material is more likely to allow it to break away. I'm hoping it won't, but if it does, I'll just take a little bit of fingernail polish, put it right on the bottom of it, put it back on there, and in about 10 minutes it'll be in good shape. Strong cast dries and cures out a little faster, as you've just seen, than normal plaster of Paris. This is already hard. I have put the strong cast, you can see, inside of this, and then I put this inside of a quart bag. And that will keep this from flaking off in my bucket of regular plaster of Paris. And when I put that in there now, I won't have to worry about it. When I first put it in there, it wasn't quite so brittle. That happens with age on plastic, and so I put it in the bag so that the plastic wouldn't get in the strong cast. But now I feel like I've got to have all of that in another bag to keep the plastic from getting in my regular plaster of Paris. I usually have quite a bit of plaster of Paris on him, but I don't use it a whole lot. Every now and then I do. The suggestion is that you cook this at 130 degrees for 1 to 3 hours to make it dry faster, because it has to be completely dry. This being such a small piece, it's going to dry fairly fast, but I'm going to take a hot blow dryer. I'm not going to use my heating tool, because a heating tool would, well, it's between 800 and 1200 degrees. So yeah, that's a little too much heat for this, but I will use a blow dryer on it to heat the head of the cow up around it and to heat that, and I'll use it 2 or 3 times, and in an hour or so I'll be able to paint that horn. And it's not quite exactly like the other horn. I see that. But what I see is that it will look much better than the broken off horn. I've just put up with it for the last several years. When I put it up, I just put that horn, that broken place, against the wall so that you see the other side. And before I put it up this time, I set it out and I said, you know, I'm going to fix that. And then I'm going to put it away after it has a good chance the paint has a good chance to dry. I'm going to put it away, and next year when I pull it out, it will be whole. Yeah. So anyway, that's how my cow repair is coming. I am fixing to paint this horn. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to take a little bit of inexpensive nail hardener. I don't use the most expensive thing on the market, but I use a Hard as Nails, and I'm going to paint that over that. And what that's going to do is that's going to make that horn really tough. I did have to glue it back together. When I started drying it, it came off of the composite material, and so I put a little fingernail polish on that, and I put that horn back on there, and it has dried, and now I'm putting that over the plaster. I've got some a brown Americana dark chocolate that is about the same color as the body, and I've got some Americana Deco sable, which really doesn't look like a sable to me. Should be a lot redder for a sable. And then I've got some apple barrel black. I have 2 brushes that I've gotten out. I will probably use this little tiny filbert for most of it, but I also brought out a very small round just in case. Difference between a round and a point brush is just that, it's the point. A round brush is round with a pretty blunt top. The point brush comes to a point on the end. But I'll be using mostly this, and I think that may be all I need. Now, my cow has a little more light right here, and that's why I picked up this sable, is because some of that is lighter. Also, notice that this ear has kind of worn, has got a worn place where the composite material that makes up the little sculpture has come through the paint, and I'm going to just kind of fix that as well as this eye right here, just because I'm doing it. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to come in with this lighter brown, and I'm going to bring it along and find those little places that need just a touch of this lighter brown. Yeah. Always tend to start with the lighter color first. It's much easier to paint over the darker color in the end. But it's harder to bring light over dark. Okay, I'm going to use that. And I've got a handy wipe out here to wipe this off because I don't want to get paper towel. Puts a little bit of felt into your brushes, and I don't want the felt in the brush, and yeah, this doesn't pull the felt into the brush. Now I'm just going to wait just a moment or two, and then I'm going to get this dark brown, and I'm going to bring it from the back side over that, and there's a few places that just need a little touch. Right above this eye is a place where we can bring that dark brown into it. Looks pretty good. There's a little spot right there. And clean that off. As you see, I've gotten a whole lot more product out than I need. It's hard to get it to come out of the little bottles in less than that amount. That's how it came out. Now, I'm pleased already with what I'm seeing happen. Looks like to me I need just a little tiny bit of the dark brown right there. Yeah, right underneath that. And I'm okay. I'm going to take a little more of the dark brown right up here at the top of this. Just right on the top there. Now we're going to get the black. And we're going to bring it over the horn. Now this horn, black, goes on down and covers the bottom of that as well. What I'm seeing is that this probably will dry a little shinier. Just looking at what I just painted, and if it does, I will take some matte medium over it. Yeah. There we go. And yeah, I think I will probably have to take the matte medium over it. I think that the black horn is going to be just a little bit too shiny. But there we are. This is completely dry, and I'm going to bring it up here, and you can probably see that the one I repaired is very shiny, where the other one is a lot more matte. So I'm going to take matte medium and put just a little bit on here on this little impromptu palette. I use just about anything plasticky for a palette when I'm working with acrylics. I use wood when I'm working with oils. And I'm going to take some of that matte, and I'm just going to paint it right over the top of this. And it's going to deaden that shine a little bit. Now, if I need more deadening, I will. This is not perfect, but it works. And like I said, it's going to look so much better than the gal without a horn. I bought the nativity set on a clearance years ago. And it had a few little problems. One of its little problems was that it had 2 shepherds and only 2 wise men. But over the years, I've gotten used to that, and it's just fun. The story doesn't really tell us that there were 3 wise men. It tells us there were 3 gifts. So we have assumed that there were 3 wise men. There might have been 10 of them, or there might have been 2 of them. I imagine there was more than 3, is my opinion. But in looking at that, I decided it was just okay for there to be 2 wise men. And then both of the shepherds look identical. It was a set that was defective, and I didn't realize it until I got it home, because it was all sealed, and I thought it was exactly what it showed on the cover, and it was a little bit defective. As soon as this has a little bit of a chance to dry. Now I only have about an hour now until I need to be teaching, so this should dry in about 10 minutes. And once that has dried, I'm going to take it in and set it on my mantle. Then I'll be ready to pack it up into some soft stuff and put it in the box until next year. Okay, I'm back. And you can see it's still a little darker than the other one. And it may have still just a little more sheen, but I've gotten most of the sheen off of it. And in all honesty, for what I started with, I'm okay with it. Not the best job I've ever done, but not the worst job I've ever done. So it'll, for something that I've accepted as broken for a few years, it's kind of nice to look at it and not see the broken. And so there we go. In the back, you can see it's a little bit of difference. You can look at it, and if someone were to say, one of those ears is broken, they would probably choose the one that I fixed. Yeah. But if we don't tell them, they probably won't know. Thank you for spending some time with me in my studio, in my awesome, wonderful world. Yeah. Have a good day.